everybody, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show. We give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the show, coming to you live from the Stream.tv studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you decided to make us a part of your day.
Also here, AMC Movie News Production Manager, Dennis Zen.
Hey guys, I'm happy to be here. Did you guys see that, what is it, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze Let It Go version?
No.
Someone did like an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression and they sang Let It Go,
Let It Go from Frozen?
It's hilarious.
Okay, I
have it stuck in my head all
I gotta
weekend.
check that out.
Also here, writer-director, John Schnepp.
Hey, I was just trying to watch that Trent Reznor thing that was cut off really early. I didn't even watch the Grammys. I just watched it on YouTube and couldn't watch it because they started running credits. Whatever. Hi.
Also here, AMC Movie News entertainment correspondent, Erin Darling.
Hey guys, what's up? Whoa, I got a theme song now. Check it out.
Hello, everybody.
There we go.
Okay.
Lukeville.
Okay.
All right, folks, listen, before we get into the stories that we've got lined up over here in the sidebar, a new piece of news kind of broke this morning that we should talk about here for a second. Now, last week, we discussed how, very sadly, as film fans, Quentin Tarantino has decided not to shoot his new upcoming Western film, The Hateful Eight, because he felt really violated that out of a small group of 4 people or 6 people, that I think it was probably 6, that he showed the script to, and then got out and a whole bunch of Hollywood agents had it. And he felt so violated by that that he wasn't going to make the movie anymore. Well, it's now not just in the hands of agents, it's now online. And Gawker Media, through one of their sites, I can't remember which one, I think it's Defamer, but actually put up a link to the script, encouraging people, hey, you can go read Quentin Tarantino's Hateful Eight script here. Just click on it and go watch it, or go read it. Quentin Tarantino, and now through his attorneys, have announced they are suing Gawker, both for monetary damages and infringement. And this raises a lot of very interesting questions about the law. I think we're going to learn a lot about the law and how it's going to be interpreted today. But also, even outside of a legal point of view, just an ethics point of view, is providing a link to copyrighted material that is not hosted on Gawker's own servers, is that a violation of copyright? And that's really going to be the big question that comes up here and becomes looked at. And I'll just give you my opinion up front, and then I'd love to hear what you guys hear about this. I am brutally against piracy. I always have been. Piracy is theft. There's no way around it, no way to argue it. It just is. And anybody who tries to argue about it is just trying to defend the fact that they want to be thieves. Now, I've also always been very, very against how Gestapo-ish, the MPAA has gone after suing 13-year-old kids in their bedrooms downloading movies when really their attention should be put to, you know, the people who sneak into theaters with movie cameras and the people who have legal screeners and disseminate it out to people. I've always been against how hard they go after just the average person in their living room downloading something. But that does not take away the fact that piracy is stealing. Just is. You can't argue it, and if you try to argue it, you're an idiot. It just is. So, but this situation with Gawker, my initial feeling is this, and this is just after thinking about it for about an hour. My initial thought is this, is if there's a piece of an illegally, acquired piece of intellectual property out there that Quentin Tarantino slaved over, he wrote that, he poured his heart and his passion into it and created this script, not meant for people just to have wherever for free to read, and you encourage, promote, and make available illegal distribution of that material, my initial feeling is, yeah, you're liable. Yeah, you are responsible. I mean, there's a difference. And one of his lawyers made a pretty interesting quote in the Hollywood Reporter story about this, basically saying, look, Gawker didn't just say, oh, by the way, this is where you can see Tarantino's script. They go out of their way to promote exclusive. Here, you can download, go read and enjoy, and put up a link to where you can get it. So, and they profit from this. From all the Gawker gets all this traffic, so they profit from it. They're making money from this. I think Tarantino has a case here, but you guys could probably easily change my mind on this. So I don't know. Dennis, how do you see this right now?
I'm glad he did it. I mean, I'm glad he's suing them.
Right.
I don't think it's right, especially for a company like Gawker that has so many different websites and has and like influences so many people and getting people. If they just did a article about the script being leaked, that'd be fine. And even saying that, I think even in an article just saying there's ways to find it, I think even that's, you know, in a nice gray area where you can get away with it. But putting an actual link to it, I think that crosses the line. It's different than, I know it's just as illegal as me sending an email with, let's say, that script attached to you. That's still illegal, but it's just a different level. And so I'm glad that Tarantino's doing it.
Schnepp, what about you?
I think you brought up a really good point in that Gawker is profiteering off of this. They're making money. So it's when money exchanges is when legal action can be taken. Case in point, a friend of mine who's a painter just posted that this person is taking his paintings, making posters of them, and selling them on Etsy, which is completely illegal. And the biggest problem with that is it's wrong. It's just straight up wrong. You're taking profits out of an artist's pocket and using them to profit for yourself with no retribution for the artist. Quentin Tarantino, in this case, is the artist, and Gawker is the thief. So, you know, whatever monies they're making as far as people clicking on, click-throughs, clicks per view, you know, that should then be paid back to Quentin Tarantino. Like, you know, I guess obviously it'll be taken in the court of law. We'll see what happens. But I'm with Tarantino on this. It's an invasion of trust, first with his 6 friends and now with the world.
Yeah.
So,
Aaron?
Well, I see it as an intellectual property issue, really. I mean, it wasn't theirs to distribute, and it wasn't public information or public material that could be accessed any other way. So I do feel bad for him. I think it's a violation of his intellectual property rights, and they had no right to distribute that content without his permission.
Yeah, no, some people are trying to make a claim. It's like, well, wait a minute. Gawker they didn't go into Quentin Tarantino's house and steal you know, the script, and they're not hosting it on their servers. But to me, that's like making this argument. I didn't steal all the goods from my neighbor's house. Yes, I went over, opened the door, and told everybody coming by, hey, no one's home, and there's a big 60-inch TV in there, and held the door open for them. It's not my fault. Well, yeah, it is your fault. You are involved. You're liable. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this all works out and see how the case law comes into play here. So I'm curious to see how this plays out.
I think as fans, though, we lose out just on a
Oh,
fan
we
level.
do.
Well, because I think that when the agents leaked the script and violated his trust, I think he got very upset. But I think that he would have gotten over that and come back to the script to do.
Right.
But now that it's public to everyone, I think it's less likely now.
also, we could look at it from the flip side of that. Now that it's public and everyone's hyper aware of this script that, you know, is now a big dust-up about reading it, when he actually publishes it, he might sell 5 million copies.
Oh, sure.
So let's hope that happens. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, this would not deter his ability to make money off of this project. I think that it would still be successful. People would still go see this movie if he decided to go through production and make it tomorrow, next year, in 2 years. Maybe he will actually shelf this project and get back to it later. So there's always that possibility, too, but I don't think that Gawker would be responsible for, I guess, hurting that project financially.
No, I was actually saying the opposite. I was saying they're helping promote the actual script that he's going to publish, I think, inadvertently. I think now there's more eyes on the interest in wanting to read it. And probably, from a fan's perspective, I'd rather buy the official version that Tarantino puts out through whatever book publisher than just to, you know, steal it online. Right. So.
All right, let's get to our first regularly scheduled topic for the day.
Gravity director Alfonso Cuaron was honored at the 66th Annual Directors Guild of America Awards dinner by taking home the Outstanding Directorial Achievement in Feature Film Award. 10 of the last 12 directors to win the DGA Award went on to have their movie win Best Picture at the Oscars. John, what do you think about Cuaron winning the DGA, and how do you think it affects Gravity's chances at the Oscars?
I think it's well-deserved, and I personally don't think it changes its chances much. I mean, one of the reasons why I think Cuaron deserves Best Director so much is probably the same reason why I don't think Gravity deserves Best Picture, when you look at Gravity, it's very limited in many ways. There's not a great story per se. There's not a lot of great dialogue. I mean, there's not a lot of that kind of stuff. It is a visual film, and that presents a very unique challenge to a filmmaker. Tell a compelling story just with images. With what you're going to see, make it compelling, make the audience feel excited, go. And he did that. I mean, it's amazing the type of story he was able to tell with so many limited tools. And by limited tools, I simply mean there's not a lot of dialogue, not an in-depth story, no side plots, no, whatever. And yet he made this amazing, compelling film. So I think this is great. I wouldn't have lost any sleep if McQueen won for 12 Years a Slave, but I think it's very well deserved for Cuarón to win this and really, I'm not going to say this is as important as an Oscar, but it's going to be pretty damn close. When the directors tell you you're the best director, that's something. But I don't know that this changes Gravity's chances at the Oscars for winning Best Picture overall. Now, yes, 10 of the last 12 DGA winners have gone on to have their films win Best Picture. Except for, look at last year. Ben Affleck was named by the directors as the best director in the world that year, and yet the Academy Awards didn't even nominate him, but Argo still won Best Picture. And there are a few other examples where that happened as well. So I think, it doesn't change anything. I still think 12 Years a Slave is going to win, and Cuarón should win the Oscar, I think. Although, once again, won't lose any sleep if McQueen wins it. Aaron, how do you see it?
I don't think that it changes much either. I mean, he already has so much momentum going into this next final, the biggest award season of them all. But with the Golden Globe and Critics' Choice already under his belt too, I think that this director's I think it's in the bag for him, but definitely not for Best Picture. I don't think that the Academy is going to recognize Gravity, and I think it will be 12 Years a Slave.
Dennis?
Yeah, 12 Years a Slave is the front runner, with an outside chance of American Hustle or maybe Gravity sneaking in there. But I don't think Alfonso Cuarón's winning all these awards is boosting Gravity's chances by that much. I think it's just boosting Alfonso Cuarón's chances by a lot, winning Best Director. But I think it's going to be 12 Years, Best Picture, Best Director, Alfonso Cuarón.
Schnapp?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, I think Alfonso Cuarón and special effects in this year's category go hand in hand because he was the forefront runner of making this film and pushing all of our special effects boundaries to make this film. It took years to make. They created special light boxes and insane types of technology with the cinematography and special effects that have never been done before. So I think not only will it win Best Director, but it will also win Best Special Effects because they go hand in hand. And we all think obviously 12 Years a Slave should win for Best Picture, but as far as for Best Director and being a member of the DGA, voted for Gravity as well. So I'm in it on that level.
All right, what's next?
Director Joe Wright, who has directed such films as Installment, Pride and Prejudice, Hannah and Anna Karenina, is currently working on his new film Pan, based on the Peter Pan character. And it appears he now officially has his bad guy. Warner Brothers Pictures has confirmed that actor Hugh Jackman will play the villainous pirate Blackbeard. Dennis, what do you think about Jackman as Blackbeard?
I think it's a good fit because Hugh Jackman wants to branch out and maybe do some of these more villainous roles. He did Prisoners. He wasn't a villain in it, but he had, he
had some neat dark side to him.
Yeah, a darker side, villainous qualities to him. And I think this is a good fit because he's not going to be a character that we're going to hate. He's going to be a fun villain. He's not going to come out there and be like, oh my God, I hate Hugh Jackman. But that's why I think it's good for him.
I think it's going to be kind of a little bit like a Dustin Hoffman in Hook, but a little darker. It won't be as silly as Hook is. I'm dying. I love it when we get guys who always play the protagonist playing an antagonist and playing a bad guy. I really dig it. It worked great for Jonathan Lithgow. I mean, that changed his career when he started doing bad guys. And I think it's going to be really cool seeing Hugh Jackman take this turn as well. So I'm totally on board for this. Schnapp?
Yeah, he's an incredible actor. I'm all on board for it too. It'll be a lot of fun to see him play a bad guy. Maybe they will make him really dark and evil. I don't know. Eating a human body. Whoa.
What do you think, Aaron?
I'm not surprised that this deal worked out. It's been in the works for a while. We've been talking about it on the show before as well.
True, yeah.
So I'm really not surprised to see this happen. If this is the direction he wants to go in his career, I'm all for it.
All right, folks, so listen, we've reached that part of the show called Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and then Schnapp, Dennis, Aaron, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
The National Association of Theater Owners, also known as NATO, have just released some new guidelines for movie trailers and how film marketing is done inside of movie theaters. According to the new guidelines, movie trailers are to be no more than 2 minutes long and should not be shown in theaters more than 5 months outside of its release date. On top of that, in-theater marketing materials like standee posters should not be displayed until 4 months before a film's release date. John, buy or sell these new guidelines?
I buy them, actually. I really do. Now, full disclosure here, AMC Theaters is a part of the National Association of Theater Owners. So I want to just make that really clear. But also AMC and AMC Movie Talk have a little bit of a church and state relationship. They don't tell us what to say. So, but still, keep in mind that we are part of the National Association of Theater Owners. I think this is really good. Now, the average movie theater trailer runs about between 2 and 2.5 minutes long, sometimes even like 2:45. And oftentimes we'll see trailers for movies that are coming out next year or something like that. I like this because it does a couple things. Number one, it encourages trailers for films that are closer to coming out. So we get to see more of those. And it also limits some things people complain a lot about trailers is giving the whole movie away. I personally don't find that 95% of the trailers do that. It just kind of feels like they do, and then I see the movie and I realize, oh, it didn't really give the whole thing away. But it will take away that perception a little bit if you make the trailers a bit shorter. So overall, I kind of like it. And it should be pointed out that in these new guidelines, they're saying every studio can have 2 exceptions per year. So if Marvel, say, wanted to have a 2.5 minute long Avengers 2 trailer in 2015 and another 2.5 minute trailer for one other of their films that year, they can do that. But otherwise, I think these guidelines sound pretty good, Aaron.
They sound amazing to me. I'm a huge supporter of this because I have a problem with all of those things listed about trailers and the way that we're marketing movies these days. The studios, I think, are just putting way too much emphasis on putting things in front of us that don't come out for way in advance.
Yeah.
And I think we need to focus more on marketing materials when they're needed most, those 4 months before a movie comes out, to make it more relevant and to avoid the whole thing where everyone gets saturated with all of this material, just like Godzilla, 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 all over and over again. I'd rather have it in my face, reminding me it's coming out, so it's in the forefront of my mind when it actually matters. And also, it should be noted, in THR, it said that these guidelines are voluntary, so ultimately exhibitors will have the choice whether or not they want to adhere to these standards, which I also think is great.
Now, it should be noted, too, about the whole voluntary thing. Technically, the MPAA rating system is also voluntary, but everybody pretty much adheres to them. Yeah, so Schnepp, how do you see this?
I'm going to sell it. I think the art of the trailer is also a part of the art of the tease, which over the last 10, 15 years has become very important, not just for Comic-Con or not just for nerds, but in general for theater audiences to like see the teaser trailer for The Dark Knight a year and a half before it comes out. Then they release a trailer a year, and then the last trailer is 6 months in. This effectively destroys that marketing platform. So I'm against it.
Okay, Dennis?
I sell it as well. I think on paper and theory it sounds good, but with what Schnepp said about teaser trailers, plus I know that studios hire outside companies to cut their trailers. They don't do it themselves. And I know some people that work on those, and they have specific kind of guidelines in terms of what footage they want in there and what they want to see. So cutting down from 2.5 to 2 minutes, what you're just going to see is more cuts, because they still want all that same material in that trailer. So you're just going to see shorter and shorter pieces, but more cuts in like 80% of the time.
Well, we'll see how that turns out. All right, what's next?
For years now, DreamWorks Studios have been trying to get their live-action version of the classic animated film Ghost in the Shell off the ground, and it looks like they've taken a serious step forward, as it's been confirmed that the Snow White and the Huntsman director Rupert Sanders will direct the film. Sanders currently has no fewer than 4 other films in development, including the narcotics enforcement thriller 90 Church setup at Universal and a Napoleon picture at Warner Brothers. Should buy or sell Sanders directing Ghost in the Shell?
I totally sell it. I don't like his Snow White and the Huntsman. I think it's a boring, horribly directed film. And Ghost in the Shell is one of my favorite animes, so to see those 2 universes combined is a total sell for me. Sorry.
Dennis?
I'm going to buy it. While I didn't like Snow White and the Huntsman, I think visually it looked great, and I'm hoping that maybe Rupert Sanders can improve along the way, and when he gets to Ghost in the Shell, which would probably be further down the line, that he'll be able to put it all together. I also was a big fan of the manga and the anime. I think Masumi Shiro is one of the best manga writers, and I would like to see also a Appleseed come up, a live-action Appleseed.
I'm going to very tentatively sell this. I'm with Schnepp on this. I was not a fan at all of Snow White and the Huntsman, and a lot of it had to do with the direction of the film, so I'm not. But at the same time, I am very curious about 90 Church and about this Napoleon thing. He's got like 2 others. But it also brings up the question about, you know, how many films can you have on your docket? This is going to be the 5th film that he's supposed to direct, like upcoming. It seems a little bit much. So for now, I'm hesitantly going to sell this, but I reserve the right to change my mind after I see 90 Church.
I'm going to sell it as well. Nothing that I saw in Snow White and the Huntsman, or really anything from Rupert Sanders, has indicated that he'd be a great fit for this project. And because I am a huge fan of Ghost in the Shell, I don't really think that this is a great idea. So, huge sell.
All right, what's next?
A new 90-second trailer for the upcoming Angelina Jolie film Maleficent debuted yesterday, giving us a look at some yet unseen footage of the film. Aaron, buy or sell this new Maleficent trailer?
I'm going to buy it, like I have with everything I've seen from Maleficent so far. It only excites me more for what we will see in the future. I like the Lana Del Rey song that they featured, and I love the evil laugh that Angelina Jolie's got going on there. So the more I see of it, the more that I like it.
Des?
Big buy for me. I think it's a lot better than the trailer that released before. They had too much of the fairy godmothers and the really creepy looking faces in that. Also, I didn't care for the old, showing the old animation in there.
Yeah,
intercutting that with the live action. I think the visuals look great, so I like this trailer a lot.
Schnepp?
Yeah, I'm with Dennis. I also didn't like the animation that was in the old trailer. I didn't really like that middle trailer or whatever it was that was released 2 weeks ago. This trailer, though, was amazing. I love the music, and I love the pacing, and I love what they showed that they hadn't showed in the other 2 trailers. So for me, I got re-excited, and I really want to see this now. I know Chris Lee was probably jumping around doing backflips when she saw this. I'm with her, though. Total buy.
While I'm really, really looking forward to Maleficent, I got to sell it. A lot of the stuff that we saw in this trailer, we've already seen in some of the other incarnations of the trailer. Plus, there was nothing in there about the story. It was just flashes of images, and while the images look really cool, I've seen them already, for the most part. I would have liked to have heard a little bit of dialogue. Give me a little bit of glimpse into the story, just a little bit. Don't give it away, just give me an idea. And this trailer didn't do it for me. So for me personally, it's a sell. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show called Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email them to us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, every day we take a little bit of time, pull a couple of questions out of the mailbag. Now, I should let you know, for those of you who are watching us live, and a bunch of you are already in the chat board there, you can start putting in some questions. Just format, say question, and then put in your question, and Ashley will pick out some questions after we're done mailbag, and we'll get to some of those. But for now, we've got some mailbag questions to get to, so Ashley, what do we got?
Jesse writes, hey AMC Movie Talk, loving your opinions and the show. Don't stop rolling the big machine. My question is, what is your thoughts on the Godfather trilogy? Is it on your top movies you've ever seen, or was it just a bore to you guys?
The Godfather trilogy, especially Godfather 1 and 2, is one of those films, you know how we all have that movie that you love, and you love watching it again with somebody who hasn't seen it yet. To me, Godfather might be the top of that. Because it's amazing once somebody sees Godfather, they realize how much cinema since The Godfather has been completely influenced by The Godfather. It is crazy. Actually, all of us were in Las Vegas. The whole AMC movie news team, we were in Las Vegas a few weeks ago, and we were having dinner in this restaurant that does nothing but run Godfather 1 and 2 constantly on a loop on their TVs. And I felt so rude because when it's on, I should be talking to everybody at the table, but I'm like, I can't take my eyes off the screen because it is so bloody good, especially Godfather Part 2. And you know what? A lot of people bag on Godfather Part 3. And Coppola's daughter, I mean, she was horrible in that. There's no taking away from that. But honestly, I think Godfather 3 got an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture for a reason. I thought it was a really good movie, minus Sofia Coppola and that whole storyline she was a part of. That was pretty bad. But I think the whole trilogy is magnificent. One of the best ever made, easily in the top 5 of the best trilogies ever. And for me, the first 2 Godfather films are in my top 10 films of all time. So they're just magnificent. Schnepp?
Might I beg to differ with you, sir?
Sure.
About the third Godfather.
Sure.
That is definitely a low point in the Godfather trilogy, and I prefer to only think of it as 2 films. Even though the trilogy, it's not like Spider-Man 3 bad. You know, it's just not as good as the first 2. I love the first 2 films. If you guys have never seen The Godfather 1 or 2, please rent it today or see it. Do something. Go see it. Make sure that you've seen it. It's a fantastic, and it's definitely in my top 100 films of all time. So.
It's one of the gold standards.
Yeah,
of
for
films.
sure, of just filmmaking and storytelling.
Sense?
Well, I was not at that restaurant that you guys were all at.
you were sick.
I was in the hotel room dying.
Shivering and thinking of The Godfather.
Yeah, Godfather, the first one is in my top 10. And the second one, I think, is probably in my top 40, top 50. Third one, yeah, not on any of my lists.
Maybe top 1,000.
Probably not even that. It's a fantastic. I think of it the way you do, where it's not a trilogy for me. I watch the first one, and then I watch the second one, and then that's it.
Yeah, and then you're done.
Stop. Yep.
Start washing dishes.
Yeah,
The ending of Godfather Part 2 with Fredo in the boat.
Yes.
I mean, just one of the best, most insane, intense moments ever on screen. It just blew me away. Anyway, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, what can I say that hasn't already been said about The Godfather? It's a classic. It's one of those things that's informed so much of pop culture, not even the way that film is made, the way that we even talk about movies, or the way that there's so many references throughout history. It's so funny. I don't know. They're great.
All right, what's next?
Zahid writes, my question is, do you think the fans are more responsible for failures in any movies nowadays? Because today with the internet, the fans show all this backlash, rage, comments, dislike, negative response towards a news or casting, trailer, announcements, pictures. Example, Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot announcements for B versus S. And can this backlash and hatred force the studios to change their vision and end up making a wrong decision? Example, Christopher Nolan re-recorded Bane's voice for The Dark Knight Rises prologue because fans said they could not understand a single word Bane said.
Well, let's start with this Bane thing. I remember, the reports came out that Nolan in the studio re-recorded Bane's voice because a lot of people said people couldn't understand him. And I believe it was either Nolan himself or somebody connected with Nolan came out and denied that. Said, no, that's not true. We didn't re-record everything. Okay, look. About 4 months or 3 months before The Dark Knight Rises came out, I got invited by Warner Brothers to go down and watch like the 10-minute intro of Dark Knight Rises with Christopher Nolan and a few other people at our AMC City Walk here in Hollywood. Oh, they re-recorded Bane's voice. Oh, I don't care. I don't care if Christopher Nolan swears on a stack of Bibles that they did. They did. Because I'm telling you, if you think it's bad in the movie, I'm telling you, we're all sitting in there watching this opening scene, in the plane and all that kind of stuff, and we're listening to voice, and I swear, it's brother. I mean, you could. I'm not exact. This, some people say, "Oh, you couldn't understand anything Bane says in The Dark Knight Rises." Yes, you can. But I'm telling you, the way it was recorded, you could not understand a bloody word he was saying. Wow. It was awful. So don't tell me they didn't re-record that, because they did. And it's good that they did. Very, very good that they did. But as far as that goes, after that, no, I think if studios are worth their salt, they don't listen to the fans when it comes to that type of stuff. Like the Batman with Ben Affleck is a great example. Yeah, there was a lot of backlash when they announced Ben Affleck as Batman, but Warner Brothers knew it was coming. They were fully prepared, so was Ben Affleck. They knew exactly what the initial onslaught, and then they knew eventually cooler heads would prevail, and they were prepared for it. And, I've made this quote a number of times. Bill Parcells, one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, said this, and it's totally true. A reporter once asked Coach Parcells if he ever listens to the fans, and Parcells said, coaches who listen to fans are destined to be sitting with them next week. And it's a great point. You're the studio, make your decision. Look, I'm not big on the Gal Gadot decision. Everybody knows that. I think it was a terrible decision. But I also think they should stick with it. And they will stick with it, because that's the direction they set. They knew people weren't going to like it, so now stick with it. And I think they should. That's why you'll never hear me, as bad of a decision as I think it was, you'll never hear me say, drop Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. No, you shouldn't. Keep her. You made the choice. Now, you know your vision. I don't, so go with it. So no, studios do not listen to fans and instant negative reactions, stuff like that, because if they're smart, and most of them really are, as much as we call them idiots sometimes, they really are a smart bunch of people. If they're smart, they knew what the reaction was going to be ahead of time, and they understand that they know their vision and the fans don't yet. They shouldn't, and I don't think they do. Aaron, how do you see this?
Well, I guess the main question is, are fans responsible for the failure of a movie? And the answer is absolutely not, because they're not the filmmakers. How can the fans take responsibility for a movie not doing well, or for things that people don't like about a certain movie, or a critical reaction to a movie? Fans have nothing to do with that, other than creating noise about whatever topic is at hand. So absolutely not.
Des?
Well, they can magnify stuff. I mean, let's say a movie's bad, then people online that think it's bad as well, they'll magnify that to other people, and then you'll get less people. But they won't. But they're not responsible. They're not responsible for the movie being a failure. The movie's already, let's say, a failure. They just amplify it. In terms of influencing studios, not really. But I mean, there's small little things. I mean, I do think that fans influenced Charlie Hunnam leaving 50 Shades of Grey. Mm-hmm. I think on both sides. I think the fans of 50 Shades of Grey influenced the studio saying, "This is terrible." And I think Charlie Hunnam heard from the Sons of Anarchy fans, and
see, I think that's the more to the point. I think Hunnam was not prepared. This is an example, and you're absolutely right. To every rule, there's an exception. Hunnam was not prepared for how his existing fan base would respond to him, and I think FX probably had something to do with his decision to get out of it, because Sons of Anarchy fans did not want to see Jax Teller in 50 Shades of Grey.
No. But in terms of being the creation of failures, I don't think they have that much influence.
Schnepp?
Yeah, I think what you said earlier rings true. It's not 100%. It's like 5%. Sometimes fans can destroy a film that's being made. J.J. Abrams' Superman is a perfect example. It was like on a major website, and ain't cool. They revealed the plot. All of a sudden, fans took that. It went around the internet. Lex Luthor's going to be a Kryptonian? That movie got canned. It was in production. I mean, there's a lot of movies that were in production that, due to negative trolling and fans having not read or been aware of the entire story and just taking one or two threads, I mean, that happens nowadays every day. Like, we were just commenting on Fantastic Four, you know, and this plot thread or this synopsis has been revealed, and then you have Josh Trank saying that's totally wrong, and actually it's a half-truth. Part of it's right, part of it's not. Part of it's true, part of it's not true. You're going to just have to see it. Whether somebody outright denies, I'm not in this movie, and then when it comes out, I am in this movie, or I'm not playing this character, it's a lie. Come to realize that it's totally true. So whether or not any of this stuff on the internet is true or not doesn't really matter. And ultimately, when fans get upset that Michael Keaton, he's 5'4" and he's a comedian, Beetlejuice shouldn't be Batman, thank God no one listened to them. Right. But that's just because there wasn't an internet at that time. Yeah. So it's true, the fans have a lot of power to sway people, in fact, sway other fans, basically. But I agree with you. I think studios should stay true to what they think. And then when Ben Affleck got the Michael Keaton packet, and this is what I'm going to be getting ready for, full-on hate, bring it, hate sandwich, and ride through it. And then we get to see what happens. So
the other thing we all got to keep in mind, too, is this, is we quite often have an urban ghetto mentality that what is around us, we're surrounded pretty much with homogenized people. I mean, we're surrounded, I know, like Batman Beyond fans. All their friends are Batman Beyond fans, so they think everybody's Batman Beyond fan. Nobody watched Batman Beyond.
I saw some of those comments about, like, John, you were wrong. There's millions of Batman Beyond. I'm like, wow.
It's like, really?
That's
really?
A lot.
But that's the way we think. To me, growing up, it was inconceivable that not everybody was a die-hard Transformers fan and wouldn't lay down their life at the command of Optimus Prime. I mean, but that was because me and my circle of friends believed that. In the internet, in the online film world, we got to keep that in mind too. Probably about 1% of moviegoers read Ain't It Cool News. 1% of moviegoers probably actively read online movie sites. So, but all of us and all of our circle of friends, we're all in it. So it feels like, there we go.
Yeah, because of the way that's Frosty is right there.
There's George back there. I'm sure there's 3 other people we know in there. Yep. It feels to us like everybody reads this stuff, because I remember when Snakes on a Plane was coming out, the whole movie web sphere was going crazy about Snakes on a Plane. So I remember talking to some people, dude, this movie's going to make $80 million opening weekend. I'm like, You're crazy. Read every site. Every site's talking about how great it's going to be. 80 million opening weekend. Okay. It opened, I don't know, like 9 million or something like that. It was kind of great. And one other thing. Some people may say, well, then John, why do they do test screenings for these films? If they're not listening to the fans, why test screenings? Because at that point, it's a different issue. Now the film is done, it's packaged, and they want to see how is our product that we made going to be received. And are there some fine tunes we can do? But that's different from pre-production and, oh, the fans don't like this costume. Well, too bad, that's the costume we chose. The fans don't like that we cast Heath Ledger as Joker. Well, too bad, that's who we cast, you know? So I think those are two kind of separate things. All right, it's time for us to go to the live chat board. We got a few minutes left here, so let's rapid fire through some questions. Ashley is our gatekeeper for the questions over there. So, Ashley, you got some questions picked out?
Sure do. Christian Films writes, which deceased actor or actress do you wish you could meet?
Oh, just passed away. One of my all-time favorites, Peter O'Toole. I never had a chance to meet Peter O'Toole. And I mean, I've been a huge fan of O'Toole since I was just a little kid. And to me, he was just always amazing, phenomenal. I know that's really recent, but yeah, Peter O'Toole would be the guy for me. What about you guys? Anybody?
Yeah, I would say for me it would be Charlie Chaplin. I would love to pick his brains about comedy and pick his brains about how he started to interject political messages into his comedy and thought and caring about humanity. So I think he's one of the greatest filmmakers. A lot of his later films no one's seen. Check out Limelight. I mean, watch his films. He's a great filmmaker.
For me, it's Marilyn Monroe. I love her.
Yeah,
she's an icon. She's beautiful. I would love to be in the presence of that type of charisma. And she's got a lot of secrets. And I think we could have some interesting girl talk together.
What really happened with JFK? All right, what else we got?
Unemployed XXXX Jedi writes, why don't we see any movies from Nintendo video game characters?
That's a really good question. I mean, well, we did. Actually, one of the very first live-action video game movies ever made was Mario Brothers.
It's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie, but it's one of the first video game movies ever made. I mean, the one that people have always said they really wanted to see is Zelda. Zelda is an. Look, I'm always saying, look, there's not enough there to make something out of a video. Zelda, you could. They had what, 3,000 games now?
Yeah, there should be a Zelda. I want to see Pitfall, the movie. Bang, bang.
Dig Dug.
Dig Dug would be awesome. Dig Dug would be awesome.
Dig Dug would be awesome. Yeah.
I want Nintendo Wii, the movie.
Nintendo Wii, the movie.
Just kidding.
All right, what else we got in there?
That would be a great theater to be in. Innovation Film writes, how come Hangover 2 gets heavily criticized for repeating the same formula as the first film, while Home Alone 2 doesn't get any attention for repeating the same formulas and antics?
I can just say I don't think anybody cared about it.
I don't think anybody cared. Yeah,
different era too. That was pre-internet era when Home Alone 2 came out, and so and also I think moviegoers have gotten wiser through the years. They know more about movies and they expect more from movies. And I think back then in the 80s, like if you did a duplicate of the first movie and maybe added some stuff here and there, people would go watch it. I mean, look at Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, and should we point out, there's a difference between repeating your formula and then doing what Hangover 2 did, which was repeat step for step, plot for plot, exact same movie, just instead of Vegas, they weren't in Hong Kong. Thailand. Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between just same formula and absolutely repeating the original movie. So, yeah, there's something to that there. All right, what's next?
Susanna Luna writes, what do studios get out of their movie winning an Oscar?
Money. They make money. Because what you see right now is Captain Phillips just did a re-release to take advantage of all the Oscar buzz. Gravity just did a re-release. You know, they're making millions and millions and millions of dollars off of that as well. 12 Years a Slave has made more money because of its Oscar buzz than it would have if it had not. And then plus, when it comes on home video, and you can slap Oscar winner, everybody remembers, oh yeah, that 12 Years a Slave, that Dallas Buyers Club, that whatever, that everybody buzzed and talked about. It's going to make more money there. So yeah, and on top of that, I mean, we forget that these big corporations and everything, these studios, are still run by people who do take a lot of pride in what they do. What did we get out of winning the Academy Web Television Award? A trophy, But we got a lot of personal satisfaction of it. It's a lot of pride out of it. It's a lot of great.
Okay, what was the best news show of 2013? We were. So that's what we get.
Yeah. So I mean, so there's money and there's professional pride and bragging rights. So
yeah, ego. I mean,
and ego. Yep. Absolutely.
That would probably be at the bottom of it, is ego, right, guys?
Yeah.
And prestige, like Annapurna, is very associated with doing really well at the Academy
Yeah, and
Awards
if
award
it wasn't
season.
for the Oscar buzz of Anna Karenina, I don't know that any of us would even remember the film. Not because of its merits as a film, but I think a lot of people never even would have heard of the film if it wasn't for the Oscar buzz and Oscar attention it got. So.
Yeah, Oscar nominated is almost as good as Oscar winning. Obviously, Oscar winning is the one that makes even more money for the studios because we are the finite winning of the few people who were selected out of the thousands of films that were released. So, yeah.
Okay, let's do a couple more quick.
Okay, John Fanera writes, "Hey AMC, I was wondering, is there a chance we'll see Thor in Guardians of the Galaxy?"
I'm not going to say absolutely no. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is on that cosmic universal level. So is Thor. So I wouldn't write off the possibilities of it outright. I think it's possible, but I doubt it. Do any of you guys see it any differently?
Yeah, a cameo like Hugh Jackman did for X-Men First Class.
Right.
Something like that, or after credit scene that leads into Avengers. Too.
Okay. All right, let's take one more.
Okay. Jonathan Barbosa writes, "John, you said that all video game movies suck except Tomb Raider. What about Silent Hill? In my opinion, it blew TR away."
I'll take part of your quote. Silent Hill blew. Yeah, I'll just stop right there. I thought it was awful. I know, and I know. Hey, look, and I know some people who are smarter than me that really did like Silent Hill. I watched it and I was like, I thought it was bad. But like I said, I know some people have great taste in movies, really liked it. I'm glad that you liked it. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that hated Tomb Raider. I didn't really love Tomb Raider. I just think it's the closest thing to not being a failure of a video game movie so far. And fortunately, we've got some really high potential video game properties coming up with Warcraft, and especially Assassin's Creed. But yeah, to me, Silent Hill was a boring waste of a film. But like I said, a lot of people really like it, and I'm glad you did. How do you guys see it?
Didn't see Silent Hill.
I think the first half of Silent Hill is really fun and great and scary, and then the last half just falls. In most video game movies that I could think of off the top of my head, the beginning is pretty cool and solid, and then it just starts to fall apart, and you get bored.
Right.
And then henceforth the story doesn't, you don't care about the characters, yada, yada, yada. So that's what happened to me with even Tomb Raider, and the sequel more so with Tomb Raider is, it's a great premise, you get into it, the story is introduced, and then there's like a bunch of kind of silly action sequences, which then no one would survive that, which then takes any, weight off of any of the characters. Everyone's just gonna kind of roll through this and you get bored. So with Silent Hill, it was kind of like, after you saw those nurses, it's over. So that's how I felt.
All right, folks, listen, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before I say anything else, I want to remind you, tomorrow night on our AMC Movie News YouTube channel I'll just use the term airing. We're airing our very first episode of AMC Versus, our new weekly courtroom drama, if you will. Make sure you come back tomorrow night and check us out for that. Listen, lots of great films playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. And listen, if you haven't done so already, take a second and click on the subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, and of course our daily AMC Movie Talk show, our AMC Mailbag show, and now our weekly AMC Versus. I want to thank those people sitting at the desk with me. First of all, our entertainment correspondent, Miss Erin Darling. Erin, where can people find you online?
Twitter, Erin A. Darling, Facebook, Erin Darling fan page, and YouTube, Erin Ashley D. Thanks for having me, John.
The one, the only Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero and on YouTube, ThinkHero Pro.
Writer, director, creator extraordinaire, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you?
You guys can find me at Twitter and Instagram, just at John Schnepp, and that's what's going on. What's up? Bye.
And our lovely host today, way off on her gravity capsule, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Ashley Mova. Happy Monday Fun Day.
And you can find me on the various social media channels at John Campia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk.
Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.